My name's Chris.
And I'm just overly emotional, Kristie.
And this is the Washing Up podcast. And it's grand final week.
Oh, it's so bittersweet. Oh, sorry, just continue without me.
Okay, you just sit over there in a puddle. Right. So this was, of course, the grand final for the Great Canadian Baking Show.
It was.
Notice why I gave it its correct title. It's the only time I'm going to do it.
And that's that.
Because that's that.
Now we can all go skating in hell.
Now we're going to go skating in hell because it's the Great Canadian Bake Off. Suck it! Anyway, so this is the grand final episode of the Great Canadian Bake Off. We are slightly later than everyone else, but it just means you're waiting for our hot takes.
Look, you know, we're fashionably late and we had to let you have the rest before you get the best. And we're so humble.
Yeah. That was so humble, so very humble. And of course, what we mean by that when we say, you know, you had to get the rest before you get the best, is that no doubt what will be happening is that Andre will be doing a podcast in any day now with Jay, and they will be doing a recap, which will be so much better from Andre's yacht while he sails the globe, and they will probably do something much better than we do. That's not happening, but by the way, you two, if you're listening,
make it so.
Get on it. Like, we'll all listen. Like, seriously, we'll all listen. Anyway, it is grand final week.
Yeah.
It was an interesting grand final. It was a good grand final.
I enjoyed it.
Look,
it was very quiet.
We're going to give a lot of praise.
Yep.
Because, I mean, we'll talk obviously at the end a bit more about this as well, but this was a really well done series from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
They did such a good job with it.
Oh, like, I think that's what... It really felt like a satisfying ending. Like, this is no Game of Thrones. I think everyone's going to be satisfied with the ending.
I was happy with the end of Game of Thrones.
So was I.
I have no problem with it.
But other people didn't.
Apparently all of you out there hate it. We liked it.
Like, I would have been happy if any three of those wonderful people won.
Yeah,
you know?
look, that was the thing. We went into this week going... We're really happy for all of them, like literally happy for all of them. And look, in other series, while we like everybody, we kind of lean...
Well, you can kind of see that someone's got a little bit more skill in some areas than others. No, we generally love everyone.
That's what I said. We love everyone, but we do also sort of generally sometimes lean into we really like this person, but we're happy for all of them, but we really like this... Like, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I really wanted Vandana to win her season.
Oh, she rocked.
I really was I happy that Sabrina won? Yes.
Yeah.
But I would have loved Vandana to win, you know, Chris's favourite baker. And by the way, I'm really hopeful, we can't confirm anything yet, but I'm really hopeful that, probably not before the episode's on, but afterwards, I'm hoping to be able to put a special together with everybody from the Great Canadian Baking Show holiday special.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because there's a lot of our favourite people in there.
And
Friend of the show, future friends of the show... And just
James is there.
I said friend of the show, like James, future friends of the show, people who are friends but haven't been on the show, but that's got to be fixed up. You know, we're looking at you, Megan. There's bunches of people.
Just so much excitement, and I'm an emotional wreck at the moment. It's been a day of ups and downs.
Well, here, have the hand.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's wood.
Wood.
The old wooden hand trick. It was a good start, actually. It was a really well done start.
I like NAF, like you little sketches.
They do it
well.
They do it really well.
I'd like to see a supercut of all the NAF openings from all around the world.
Yeah, I think
except Kiwi.
Except Kiwi, they weren't.
They don't count.
They weren't NAF. They weren't NAF. They were just.
They were horrible.
They were just bad. Look, but what do you expect from the Kiwis? They were coping from the mammoth infestation.
Yeah, but the thing is,
and if you've never heard our Kiwi Bake Off podcast, go back. I do recommend finding our podcast. Don't find the show. Just find our podcast. Mm-hmm. Those extra third bakes.
Yep.
Look, we got that footage. It was hard to get hold of, but I think it made the show worthwhile.
But the thing is, right, you have to go a long way to get terrible comedy in New Zealand. I mean, you've got, like, Taika... I can't remember his last name. It starts with the W.
Waikari, yeah.
Waikari. And then you've got the Flight of the Conchords. You've got the...
John Clark was from there.
John Clark. Ursula Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
So many amazing... Like, Richard Wilkins, he's been a joke for the past...
People in Canada are going, who the fuck is Richard Wilkins? We don't have time, nor do we want to. Just think of a walking mop.
Yeah. that doesn't age.
No, he does age, but he thinks he doesn't age. Think of plastic that cracks, right? But make it a face and make the hair...
A mullet.
A blonde mullet mop.
Yep.
And that's a really good depiction of Richard Wilkins.
Just talking about entertainers from around the world.
He was the guy who made global headlines when he killed off Jeff Goldblum live on Australian television. When there were, I think it was Michael Jackson died, and then the news came through that Jeff Goldblum has also died, and he didn't bother to check his sources, and he killed Jeff Goldblum on Australian television. Just killed him. Breakfast television, well done. They made global headlines for that. That's what we've got for our Kiwi humour, of course. Things like Outrageous Fortune, one of my favourite TV shows.
Fantastic.
Which is brilliant. So there's a lot of really good humour in New Zealand. And then there was...
And What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, and then there was Kiwi Bake Off, which was humour of sorts.
We really should stop. Let's stop bringing the
No, because the bakers were wonderful. The format of the show was a mess.
It did them all a massive disservice.
And while I'm quite sure that the hosts are great in their own right, and Hayley Sproul seems to be doing a hell of a lot with some really talented people in Australia right now, while I'm sure they're very good in other things, and I've been told by people they're very good in other things, they were rotten on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely rotten on that. They didn't have good material to work with, but they also weren't very good. What we've got in Canadian is they've actually... And look, this is not a shot at Dan Levy in particular.
No.
But I thought today in particular you saw the benefit of having Aurora and Carolyn.
I mean... You say that, but one of the first things we see of Carolyn is her going up to Jodie and just, getting the waterworks going, like, and everyone leaves the tent one by one.
It was great.
Like, please don't make me cry.
It was great. But the old wooden hand trick was great, especially with the... wouldn't it be funny if you were running off and meanwhile there's off in the background.
Aurora and her magnificent purple dress.
So let's talk about that, shall we? So Aurora's dress was beyond on point.
I loved it. It's just... It was like, for me, it was a nod to Andrea's mermaidness. It was the purple royalty.
And Carolyn perfectly channeling our Mel.
Oh, yes. I think there is a standard... I think it's more of an... They're all adages, really, or odes to Sue Perkins,
They are. They're all that.
All the nods to the
They're all Sue and Mel.
Yeah.
They're all a bit Sue and Mel.
Yeah.
So we got all our retrospectives. Now, as they talked about, first of all, Colin's montage... at the start, not the family visits, they're later on, but the montage at the start, which I'm quite sure his montage from inside the pavilion is used as the promotional video for Polite Disagreement. Because they just kept on showing the little clips of him singing things, and I'm like, I'm sure this is the Polite Disagreement promo videos.
Yeah.
Then they talked about Natalia.
Please see our mix CD.
Yes. Then they did Natalia and talked about her winning Star Baker an unprecedented 3 times in Canadian. And then, Jodie was talking about baking for her kids and baking for her family, and I assume by proxy baking for the world title, which I believe the wrestling promotion that Thrill and Dylan's involved in gave her a medal for the company, which was great. I did wonder if she could cash that in for a title shot at any time. Like, just come into the ring and just hand the medal over and it's like, go, ring the bell, start for a title shot. Or, again, I would have liked the idea of, like, taking the medal and just sort of jabbing someone with it so Thrill and Dylan wins a match.
She distracts them with her bakes.
100%. Like, here, have a cream puff. Well, don't mind if I... 1, 2, 3.
The old cream puff and coat hanger trick.
Right up there with the old wooden hand. So the signature... Dun 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 dun. Baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Oh my mercy! It's a Fraser cake, and I'm not going to go even closely to what the hell you called it, Canadians.
Fraisier.
Yeah, it's a Fraser cake.
Yep. Right? Not an Isles.
Those of us, not a Daphne, definitely not a Martin.
No,
definitely not a Martin. It is a Fraser cake. Good night, Toronto. We love you. It was we've seen these before in Bake Off, and they're an old favourite because they've got mousse,
and squirrel, strawberries,
and squirrel. Yes, unfortunately, again. Sorry, Natalia.
Wonderful.
But every time the amazing Natalia makes something with a mousse and says mousse, I do say squirrel.
It's just neuro programming from our childhood.
It is.
Blame the Australian Broadcasting Corporation.
Now, Colin turns around. They had 3 hours to make the Frasier cake.
Yes.
I love Colin where he turns around, winning isn't everything. But it's something nice.
I like my niece this morning. Oh, okay. So my younger sister is ultra competitive. I mean, you're ultra competitive too, love, but her partner is also ultra competitive. And lo and behold, their firstborn offspring, super competitive. So she was on the paddleboards. She's at Nippers, right? Which in Australia is like surf life-saving kind of for kids.
We all grow up really near the water.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You have to swim. We're surrounded by it.
Basically, you need to know how to swim, how to punch a shark, and how to scull a can of beer before the time you're 18. Otherwise, you're just not allowed to be in
And
Australia.
you should also know how to treat, a snake bite, just in case.
Yes, and a spider bite.
And a spider bite.
And know the difference between treating a funnel web spider bite and a normal spider bite.
Because they're very different things.
Yes. Ice packs ahoy.
Yes. Anyway,
back at the ranch. So there she is, and they're on the paddle boards, right? My younger sister comes back up. She goes, "What have I done? I've created a monster." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "She kept forgetting to breathe because she was so focused on winning that she finally got up off the paddleboard, dragged it into shore, was pissed off because she came third, was purple in the face, and then all of a sudden took a deep breath in." And Catherine's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I forgot to breathe. I just wanted to win."
okay, so see, as a fellow competitive person, all I see in that is disappointment. And a couple of reasons. One, the third, but secondly, the breathing is what spurs you on to greatness.
It is.
Right? The breathing is where you check where your opponents are. The breathing is also how you get an extra burst of energy. So what I'm saying is her technique is flawed and she must be forced to do this again.
Yes, she's going to. She'll be out there every day now practicing on the boards because that's what she does.
She better be. Because if she doesn't win, I'm not talking to her again.
In kindergarten, right? So first athletics carnival. Now her BFF, I'm not going to mention names, but her BFF and her, of course, were in the running race together because they're the same age. Now her BFF beat her this time, and all Taylor said for the next year was, "I'm going to beat her next year. I'm going to beat her next year." And she would practice running it every single time. Yet lo and behold, she came back, beat her.
Of course she did.
And has been doing so for the past several years.
Of course she did. So, I was happy to let you talk, and the reason I was happy to let you talk was because
our delightful cat senator has come to join us and is meowing.
Not because the cat's meowing, not at all.
He's the cat's meow.
The reason I was happy to let you talk was because it means that I didn't have to talk about them scanning the benches for all the stuff they were doing, because there was a glimpse, and the glimpse became more than a glimpse, but there was a glimpse of a fine green powder being stirred into a mousse.
Matcha, matcha man.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's a grand final with some matcha man.
There's more than one lot of matcha. Now,
spongy matcha, mousse matcha.
Now look, Natalia.
How matcha is that Frasier in the window?
Too matcha. So, look, Natalia, love you dearly, and you definitely deserved the win. 100% deserved the win. Definitely deserved the win. But you and Colin, as far as I'm concerned, neither of you should have won. Jodie should have won. And you know why Jodie should have won?
No matcha.
She didn't fucking use matcha.
Aren't you lucky that Chris isn't your judge?
Yeah.
You actually had two professional people that can get over
Aren't you lucky
matcha?
You had people with professional levels of judgment and not a single bit of pettiness anywhere?
No.
Because if it was me, I would have disqualified you. Just disqualified you. Anyway, Jodie was making chocolate sponge to make me feel better. That's what I kept telling myself anyway. Strawberry jelly and custard. Now, at this point, Kyla gave some advice.
Yes.
And she said, trust your gut and bake from the heart.
Words to live by.
Showing some medieval world-style knowledge of the body there. Apparently, if you trust your gut, you can bake from the heart.
How is that medieval, though?
Well, it sort of seems to assume that the gut and the heart are the same thing.
Oh, I get you.
Levels of comprehension of the body and the organs.
I think she's just got some ill humours going on there.
Yeah, exactly. The humours are not balanced. The bile is coming up.
Need some leeches for that.
You'll be much better after a good bleeding.
Yes.
But I'm already bleeding. Say, who's the barber here? And anyone right at home who has seen Theodoric, Barber of York, wetting themselves with laughter. Anyway, Colin was inspired by brunch.
As you should be.
Aren't we all?
Brunch is one of the best meals.
I had breakfast gnocchi today for brunch.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't have anything.
Breakfast gnocchi with
breakfast
gnocchi with chorizo, food of the kings.
I had a lot of sunshine because I went to the beach in the morning.
You did.
And then I had to find shade.
Yes, well, you have to in Australia because the sun is trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Actively.
We don't have the highest rates of
melanoma for nothing. Not melatonin, melanoma.
Yeah.
So it was inspired by a brunch. There was a brown butter sponge, a maple mousse, and a glaze, and a praline brittle.
Oh.
That praline brittle. I haven't seen that much praline in a very long time. Between that and then they all had to make a praline simply to grind it up in the technical.
Which is fine. I think just praline making should be just a normal occurrence in everyday life. What do you do? Baking bread. What else are you doing? Making praline. Like, just do it.
Now, we then got to see the enemy of Bake Off Worldwide make an appearance. I, of course, refer to gelatin.
It hasn't had a good run, has it?
Whenever gelatin appears in Bake Off, people get worried. People get nervous. With good reason. Normally it's because the gelatin sets too much.
Makes it too stiff.
Too stiff!
You're not a fan of stiff gelatin, are you there, Senator Palpatine?
No, our cat is not. So it is the enemy of Bake Off Worldwide. I wrote that down, and as I wrote that down, Jodie forgot it. Once again, the enemy of Bake Off Worldwide strikes. Gelatin. So she had to restart everything because she forgot to put the gelatin in the mousse, which is a problem. They then come back to Natalia, who was making hers, which was white strawberry and
matcha.
And
I'm helping you.
Well done, thank you.
White chocolate, strawberry, and matcha.
Great. It was white chocolate, strawberry, and something else mousse. Now, Kyla was then talking about Natalia's husband. Everyone had a fascination with Natalia's husband and I.
Like, I just wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Like, what is she talking about? Like, what else does he do?
They were all desperate to meet him. Like, when they said they were
irons in the buff, and they were like, oh, damn. And then she's like, yeah, when I bake him cakes, he gives me foot massages. Ah, yeah.
I mean, they're probably just thinking you've only been in Canada for 3 years. This guy must be something.
Yeah, it's probably.
He's a draw card.
Yeah, she moved whole continents.
And he did seem like a bit of a find. So what was interesting about this was when Kyla said about Natalia's husband, "You've created a master taster."
Ooh.
She said it very quickly, and yeah.
Look, I think Natalia's bakes are so good. You could master taste over them.
He could. I mean, look, she's also been at production for 8 weeks. So he's been doing a lot of master tasting alone, obviously, because there's been no Natalia there to keep him company.
Exactly. He's had to do his own master tasting.
Yeah.
On his lonesome.
He's had to look after himself.
Maybe a bit of Facebook Messenger action, like some Skype.
Yeah, maybe just giving some hints by master tasting, over
master
text.
Tasting, yeah.
Master tasting over type, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think we're getting in by with this perfectly, don't you?
We're getting completely by with this euphemism for masturbation without.
I don't think anyone picked that up at all, Kristie.
The innuendo was just at the right level.
Something joking it. Anyway, so
look at those cream puffs.
That was followed by Colin talking about taking the ring out and then. So
I am not going to mention prolapses because that was the first thing that came to my mind.
That was actually the first thing. And they were chopping strawberries too. It didn't help.
All I can say is I think our unbeloved PM Scott Morrison had a issue with taking rings out and getting McDonald's. And if you don't know what that is,
don't look it up, Canadians.
Yeah,
don't look it up.
Let's just say it's a metaphor for how he is in real life because he is a real shit. So
bugger it. Let's just say it. Allegedly, and I'll use the alleged blanket because he is the sort of arsehole that would sue. How good's the arsehole? Anyway,
he straight. Okay, this is what our Prime Minister did. He denies global warming. He's in the pocket of big coal. Earlier this year, after being told we're going to have a massive fire season, he slashes $35 million from the rural fire services budget. Now half of our state
75
is on
fires.
fire.
75 fires.
75
currently going
fires.
around. And the response this morning when asked about that by the media was for the Premier of New South Wales to laugh and go, oh, please, that's not the time to ask that question. No, it is definitely the time to ask that question. Anyway, to not get too political, because this is a show about baking, but to
Screw you, Scott Morrison.
But anyway, to tell everybody in Canada, just quickly so you don't look it up, the Prime Minister allegedly a while ago shat himself in a McDonald's car park. Anyway, moving on.
Engadine.
Allegedly. So, allegedly. Moving on. So, we got some awkward standing around.
And now he's just treating the whole of Australia like Engadine McDonald's.
So we got some awkward standing around.
Shitting all over us. Anyway, okay, yes, back. Okay, Kristie, podcast Kristie.
Podcast Kristie.
Baking show Kristie. Happy place Kristie.
It's a really good show. Let's not ruin it. Let's not shit all over it. Anyway.
Let's not treat it like a McDonald's car park.
There was a lot of awkward standing around while everyone was seeing whose cake set, which is always the thing about the Fraser cake is that unlike everyone watching the ovens, this is far more tense because everyone's waiting for the fridge.
I just felt that there should have been some dancing. Now we just need Marcus to come and visit. Just add a bit of dancing. Do I feel it? Maybe Liam could have brought bloody Grace the Caribou in for a little visit just to break that tension because I was so stressed you could see it.
They should have just brought in the other members of Polite Disagreement and done some rehearsals. Anyway, More importantly, we were all Aurora's face while Natalia unwrapped her Fraser cake. I've not seen her look like that in a very long time. And this moment while they were unwrapping the Fraser cakes completely justifies every single bit of praise that Aurora and Carolyn have got this season. They let the moment breathe.
They held space.
They were good. They were in the background. You could see them.
Supporting.
They weren't...
creepily looking over Jodie's shoulder at one stage.
But they weren't interfering in any way, shape or form. They didn't involve themselves in this to make them the focus of the bit. And it was really... Again, it's one of the things they've been really good at. We talk all the time about the balance the hosts have to strike between the humour and being the host and letting the moment and the baker tell the story. And I think that Aurora and Carolyn, because they've worked together for so long, have that innate timing with each other and are able to sort of work that timing out together really well. Yes. And it plays really well with the contestants as well. They really enjoy it. So the judgment stuff. So Natalia.
Yes.
Kyla's first word was symmetry. The fusing...
fucking gorgeous.
I said the fusing of the strawberry and the mousse was perfect. And it was. You could see it. They'd moulded together nicely.
It was like Rocky and Bullwinkle in one.
It was. The sponge was really good. They did say that the other two layers needed the punch of the matcha because the matcha was dominant. So the rule is matcha is evil. And it tries to take over all of your bakes like it will take over your life and it will take over your existence.
It's the ball.
And I hereby declare that matcha must be struck from this earth. Matcha is trying to overtake your lives. Wake up, sheeple. We are in an environment where matcha will dominate this planet and we will not be able to get it out of our systems. Are you prepared for a roast matcha? I don't think you are. I don't think you're ready for a Sunday roast, which is going to be matcha with matcha potatoes and matcha beans. I don't think you're ready for that. I don't think you're ready for matcha seafood. All of you people on PEI, are you ready for matcha lobster? I don't think so. Right, I think you need to understand this. Matcha is trying to take over the planet, and I feel like I am the only person standing in its way. And you know what? I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Except in mousse form.
Anyway, Jodie, the rose on top of hers was absolutely lovely. The blend of mousse and strawberry was really good. The jelly, unfortunately, didn't set though. And when they cut it, it looked like we were flashing back to Jasmine's first cake.
She should have said
the bleeding.
It's supposed to be like that. It's an ode to Jasmine, yeah? Yeah, it's just... It's like, it's a metaphor for the death of our world due to climate change.
It's a follow-up to Grace the Caribou. The mousse had a nice texture.
Please don't go extinct, everyone.
Yeah, the mousse had a nice texture. Bruno had a smirk on his face before he dipped into the jam, and then you saw him eat a bit of the jam, and his smirk got bigger. Anyway, the flavour of that jam is delicious. And then he was, I'm going back in. And Bruno's just spooning jam. Like, Bruno, the second he tasted that jam, I reckon that jam was seriously amazing.
Yeah.
Because, like, the look that Bruno got on his face with this mischievous, I'm eating, I don't care if that didn't set, I'm eating all of that. That's mine.
Tasty. Tasty runny jam.
Yes, Colin's. They said Colin's was elegant.
Yep.
It looked like maple syrup had just set on the plate. Unfortunately, the mousse and the strawberry didn't blend properly. There was a gap you could see between the strawberries and the mousse.
Yeah, no one likes a mousse gap.
No. The layer of praline in the middle was a bit of a surprise. They weren't expecting that.
Woohoo!
Bruno called it lip smacking. He goes smackers for lip smackers.
Oh, God, flashbacks to the 90s.
He's wild about strawberry.
What flavour did you have?
He goes, ape over grape, bubble gum is so yum, watermelon's fun, they're so lip smacking good with a smile, that's oh so fun. No, I don't have a Rain Man-like memory for pointless information. Anyway, I didn't have any, by the way, I didn't like them.
Really?
I
Did
really
you try them?
Yes, I hated them.
So did I.
They were terrible.
Yeah,
one of those American, North American imports. They should have just stayed.
Yeah, just a fan of the normal chapstick, like the black and white.
I was a banned for a ring pop.
Ring pops were fucking awesome. I remember when they came out, I was in year 3 at school, and there was a corner store. Now, Mum let us walk to school, but we weren't to deviate from the path. Well, you know what? We deviated right to the corner store for a ring pop after we stole $1 out of her purse.
When I at one point ran the canteen for the local soccer club, and so did all the stock ordering.
Did you order Fizz Whiz?
We used to do that, but more importantly than any of that, we used to order ring pops because we had to refill the ring pops every week because the entire box of ring pops would go.
Wow.
Like, you had to get like 2 or 3 of them to put in the canteen storeroom because the ring pops just flew out of the canteen.
Well, you know what the nippers were into this morning? Just icy poles, just like the little Zuper Dupers.
Yeah.
If you don't know what they are, they're like a frozen.
It's just a frozen ice
tube.
block.
Yeah, frozen ice.
Frozen tubular ice block.
And apparently, my little nephew demands one every week and is obsessed with ice blocks to the point where they're up late one night and one of those sensitive teeth ads came on and the guy like bit into an ice block. He's gone ow ow, and then suddenly he's there demanding ice block now, ice block now. Yeah.
So the other thing that we got out of this, by the way, was. Bruno gave Colin a high five.
We haven't seen that before.
And I don't think it's the equivalent of a Hollywood handshake.
No, it's a different feel. A Hollywood handshake is a nod of, that just seems spontaneous and from the heart.
Yeah, I wonder if Bruno was still hyped up on Jodie's jam.
Well, he's had 8 weeks of packed in sugar. And he's just been, into Jodie's jam, which I presume is just like crack, like just sugar crack.
Pretty sure.
And now he's eaten like Colin's Frasier, which is just like sugar. So he's hyped. Yeah, he's hyped. He's up. He's here, having to go. He's still running around.
Now the technical. The technical, they said you need nerves of steel and a gentle touch. Not as good as the stuff they've got Matt and Maggie saying in Australian. I'll give them that. The stuff they got Matt and Maggie saying is so much better. To give you an idea, last week on Australian, when they got to the technical, you had Mind Your Beeswax and I prefer brunettes over blondes. And that was what Matt Moran had to say. This week was, as I said, it was nerves of steel and a gentle touch.
You can't say that in Canada, though. They're more inclusive. Where in Australia, apparently we can discriminate and just throw people on an island and forget about them because we have a horrible Prime Minister. And I just have to say how scummy he is.
Anyway, so a marjolaine cake. 2.5 hours ago. Oh, marjolaine. I'm sure
it's a duck was.
It's a fucking duck was.
Okay, we know it's a duck was.
All right, so no, it's fucking duck was. So it's not a duck was, by the way. It's a duck was.
Yeah.
And we call it a duck was because in Bake Off history, Australian, British, the works, we see a duck was all the time.
Just duck was.
And no one calls it a duck was. It's a duck was.
Which I also think is like another name for a duck's penis.
Does sound like
Which
one.
Did you know?
Corkscrew?
Corkscrew penises and. Because, ducks are so rapey, lady ducks have several fake vaginas.
Yes, I do know that.
Oh, cool.
The rapey ducks. And by the way, the highest incidence of homosexual behaviour outside of humans is the mallard.
Wow.
There you go.
Mallard pride.
You learn something new. You learn something new every. Although ducks are also very rapey, so that's worrying. Anyway, Mary Berry loves a duck was.
she's a bandit for a duck.
She's a bandit for a duck.
And we are talking about the cake now.
We are definitely talking about the cake.
Nothing corkscrew unless it's opening up her bottle of wine.
Exactly, that is the only time that Mary Berry will indulge in a corkscrew anything. So, but Mary Berry loved the Dakwas. She's a very big fan of them. So, Dakwa, obviously, it's going to be meringue. There was a praline involved as well, and a buttercream.
Now, just a little tangent, because, we never do those.
No.
RuPaul's Drag Race UK, right, just did, what's it called? Snatch Game. And one of them dressed up as Mary Berry, one of the drags.
That was
blue
awesome.
Hydrangea, and she was phenomenal. She didn't quite get the level of innuendo there. She did go straight crass, but still wonderful to see.
Yeah, you've got to be more innuendo if you're Mary Berry.
You're amazing when you've become a drag queen's, persona.
Exactly.
Much, yeah.
So, praline, buttercream, meringue.
One day someone will drag me. It'll be awesome.
Praline, buttercream, meringue.
Probably me dragging myself.
Yeah, you. And ganache was the other thing you had to do. So there was a lot to this one. Like, it seems at start fairly straightforward, but there's lots of different bits of skill involved. Does make it a really good technical for a grand final.
Yeah.
So obviously the instructions had to be vague.
You had to blend your nuts.
So finely ground was an instruction, not to the level, just finely ground.
Grind your nuts.
Whisk to a soft peak was another instruction. Fold in your nut mixture. Bake until golden.
I think Colin is the only one who can actually produce nut mixture.
At this point, yes. Then it was ganache time. So we got to watch them make ganache, and they had to put the ganache to one side and hope the ganache set. Then we got a praline brittle, which looked amazing. And just as we're saying that, Jodie burnt it.
Oh,
Jodie really had a day from hell.
Oh, I just felt for her so hard. Like, she has just been my fave all throughout. I love Colin. I love Natalia too. I think everyone's so talented, but I just soft spot for Jodie.
But it's really interesting as well, because we got something you don't normally get with a grand final. It rained.
It did.
Like you can almost hear production letting out a massive sigh of relief when the sun came out on grand final day. You could hear it. You could hear it. Yeah, I do wonder if they had to reshoot all that at the end. Like, they did it and then went, we'll come back when it's dry. Because
now pretend you're walking
in. The weather changed pretty rapidly, I've got to say.
Yeah, but it's spring, it happens.
But
it's like here in Miscellaneous City, right? To the north of us, fucking fires raging everywhere. To the south of us, there's fucking snow. Like, welcome to springtime for Hitler and Germany. I mean, welcome to springtime in Miscellaneous City.
So, the praline, I'm like, oh, that looks amazing and that looks incredible. And what was the praline for?
Making a dust.
Blending. You literally made the praline to just grind it into a dust.
Yeah, but praline dust is still praline. It's just in dust form. It's like glitter.
You can snort it.
Oh, I'm just going to get the credit
buying
card
baggies.
out.
People buying baggies. They're buying baggies of praline dust.
I mean, you made your own porcini dust last week.
I did make my own porcini dust last week.
Sell that in baggies on the local corner.
You really could, actually. It was really good. Porcini dust was amazing.
I'll have a King Henry of that, or whatever the fucking slang is.
We can tell we're so down with the drug culture. Anyway.
Yeah, because it's an eighth. Get it?
Oh, well done. Well done. Nice work. So let's look. No, I'll give it credit. I was about to say the praline dust I made last week. I didn't make praline dust last week.
No, you made porcini dust.
Porcini dust that I made last week really actually made the mushroom dish that I was making like really sing. It was beautiful.
It was unique. It was different. It was tasty.
But then we got some more of the nuts, and then we got the candying of the nuts. Now,
everyone likes it when you dip your nuts in hot sugar.
Now, at this point,
get it?
Those of us who
watch testicles.
Thank you, Kristie. Those of us who watch a lot of Great British Bake Off flashback
did some
to
jousting.
Andrew. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about, one of the only times I didn't use the podcast logo for the podcast was the week that Andrew made the jousting knights. And the reason I didn't do that is when you look at the photo, just type in GBBO Andrew jousting knights. Or should I say
jousting penis.
Knight with an erection.
I'm sure it happened in tavernas later on
sure
after all the jousting and the tournament's been done, and then you've got the local lads who do the the comedy troupe who comes along and they do up their torches. It's like jousting of the penis. It was medieval puppetry of the penis, right? And they get their todgers out and just joust away over the bar table.
By the way, I'm still amazed. You know, puppetry of the penis made an appearance on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. I don't know how. I don't think they showed anything. I think they just did a "we're on in Vegas" conversation because they couldn't. I mean, I just. They were big in America, pun intended. Apparently, they were big in America
because my older sister bought
us tickets. You did go to.
I went to Puppetry of the Penis.
Oh wow!
The only thing I can remember,
Harbour Bridge.
No, was
apparently the Harbour Bridge is quite. They still call Australia home. Apparently, brings a tear to the eye.
Testicles being made to look like Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was. You'll never look at fried chicken in the same way.
Finger looking good. Anyway, so we then had Carolyn sending mental images to Colin. But obviously, much like Australia's internet, buffering took place.
It did. It's taking a little bit of time.
It's buffering, it's not quite coming through. And then Jodie gave me a lot of hope because her level of drawing... It matches mine.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
It matches mine.
The
buttercream was the squiggly line.
Isn't it? For you... That's like high art.
It's high art. And I've mentioned before, every time I have to draw a person near a building, people laugh because the person's 3 times the size of the building. Perspective, not one of my things.
We should really buy you puppets to have in your classroom so that you don't have to do
Don't give me puppets.
Just like
You've seen me with puppets. If you give me puppets, all I'll do is use the puppet.
With little different outfits. Like if you're doing Egypt, like you can have the same actors. You can have set actors, puppet actors, and like a whole like... wardrobe, and I don't know who's going to make this because we don't know anyone that sews, and I can't sew.
If you give me puppets, I'm never going to stand in front of a class again. I'm just going to hide behind the desk and use the puppets.
Like Sooty and Sweep.
How the hell am I going to teach an entire course going...
Possibly more effectively than a lot of other teachers in other schools.
I'm going to need a sue, aren't I, just to explain everything?
Yes.
Oh no, what he was saying is that Queen Hatshepsut lived for... No, anyway, moving on. So Colin, they were all got to the point where they had to cut their meringue base in half. And we got 3 different approaches. So
Jodie, ultra cautious.
Jodie is there measuring and going, I'm going to be very careful and very slow and very deliberate. Colin, like a bat out of hell to be cracked when the morning comes. And he's like, I'm just going to cut this out. Oh, whoops.
The dozy.
Then Natalia,
who just seemed to use some kitchen witchery.
It was like Karate Kid.
Yeah. Just wax on, wax off, straight down the middle. She's the Mr. Miyagi of...
It was amazing.
Cutting dakwas.
Then we got the assembly. And the assembly was literally layer, cream, layer, around the outside, the extra nuts. And then,
Round the outside?
Yes, round the outside. And then, of course, the candy nuts go down the middle of it at the end. So the judgment.
Yes.
Collins, they said it was nice presentation. The piping was really good. It was very crisp. They said it had really nice layers. The texture was a little bit crunchy, though. They said it needed a little bit more softness, and they said the ganache was soft and silky.
Yeah, like silky ganache.
Knew you were coming up.
Silky nutmeg ganache, one of my favourite queens from last season. Anyway... Sorry.
Jodie. Now, Jodie had some piping issues, unfortunately. But they did say that it was probably partially hers, but partially it was because of the ganache was soft and not in the good way that Colin's was.
Yeah.
You could just see there was a different consistency to Jodie's ganache. It didn't look the same as the others. And she said that. She said it didn't set properly. The duckwas was nice, but the buttercream lacked a bit of depth.
Yeah,
so they said the flavour. Yeah, they said didn't toast enough. Remember, she burnt them originally.
Yeah.
So obviously the second time she's gone too light.
Just probably didn't have enough time to...
Yeah, because she had to make a second batch.
Yeah.
Natalia, they said the presentation was nice, the ganache was good, the meringue was well balanced. They did say the buttercream was a little bit waxy, but the flavour of the praline was really nice, good. Apparently. So Jodie was third, Colin was second, and Natalia wraps up win number 4 in the technical.
Woo!
So that brings us...
Yes.
To the showstopper.
The final bake in the pavilion for this season.
That That woke the cats up. Anyway, so it's the final.
So I was just letting you go. I'm like, is this going to have a punchline? Nope.
No, I'm just literally doing the final.
I'm
just doing the final countdown.
I don't have enough whistling in podcasts these days. I bet you there's a podcast dedicated to whistling.
100% there will be. Anyway, so
the Old Whistlers Whistling Podcast.
The Whistlers Network.
You come along to my whistling podcast, and we'll whistle up a podcast like that. Okay, on.
Anyway, so the showstopper
was a piss Monet. A pissed Monet. We just needed to get drunk
and paint some lilies.
Let's get on.
Anyone got some lilies? Somebody paint some fucking lilies. I was disappointed there was not a single lily anywhere. No. I was promised piss Monet.
Yes. Where's your willows over the bridge? Come on.
Where's your fucking water lilies? I won't rest until I see drunken water lilies. Anyway, it was a pastry sculpture in the shape of a landmark, and you had 4.5 hours. And I know, Australian fans, I know what you're all thinking.
Where the fuck's the bell tower?
Who was doing the bell tower? Right?
Yeah, Perth bell tower.
Canadians, you got
no
idea what we're talking about.
And neither did we.
And neither did we. When it first happened, sorry, James, when it first happened...
Never let this go.
Neither did we. And we've, having been to Perth...
And we've since been to the bell tower.
And Robert and myself in particular scaled the bell tower. And they've got like a music box up the top where you can make the bell tower play all sorts of random tunes.
Except they've deliberately muted it so it doesn't ring out across the city.
Which is really disappointing.
Because you can play things like La Cucaracha.
Which we did.
And what else is there?
Robert, being Robert Harwood, of course, friend of the podcast, friend of the show, friend in general.
Squeeing as we talk about him.
Yes, great Australian Bake Off contestant, extraordinaire, and man who should have used 2 pans on his crepe cake. I always bring that up. Robert and myself may have scaled the bell tower and may have gone up to the top. We had about 10 minutes before a cruise.
Could you play tubular bells on it?
Yeah, you can actually. We did too.
Really?
Yeah, we did tubular bells. Tubular bells, La Cucaracha, and there was another pop song we played. Can't remember what it was. But we had.
I should be so lucky.
We had 10 minutes.
Was it some Kylie Minogue?
It might have been actually. We had 10 minutes. Actually, it might have been the locomotion. 10 minutes until the cruise had to go, and Robin and myself ran up the staircase of the bell tower in Perth to play these songs, wave to Kristie from off the top of it, and then run back down to get on the boat.
And then Kristie, not being stupid, just sat down and had a fucking coffee. Because I'm like, if I'm going to... Like, it was my idea. I really wanted to go on the cruise because I'm like, fuck it. I want to see Perth. I want to see Fremantle without actually having to go
get off the boat.
And it was great. It was a beautiful cruise. Loved it. Good food, good people. There was a nice little... family there I ended up giving sweets to, and they looked at me like I was a bit strange, and I'm like, no, they're not poisoned. It's
I'm a strange woman giving you candy, but I promise you it's good.
It's good. It's fine. We saw some black swans on the Swan River.
We did.
Which apparently you don't see. And we saw a delightful Japanese whaling ship. Scientific research vessel.
Research vessel, exactly. And we also got to see the former headquarters of disgraced former billionaire Alan Bond. Anyway, I'm sorry, lair. It's got to be referred to as a lair. Now, we did ask who would do the bell tower in Australian Bake Off a couple of years ago. James from Australian Bake Off. They wanted to make famous landmarks. So you had the Eiffel Tower, and you had all these other things to go.
Taj Mahal made out of tea biscuits with tea inside. It was great. And then you got the bell tower in Perth, and even Matt Moran goes, "What the fuck's the bell tower? I've never heard of it." And I've been to Perth several times.
And then the bell tower collapsed, and so he just smashed it in the end. He just broke it to pieces. So the bell tower is legendary in Australian Bake Off. We were going, who's going to do the bell tower? The answer was none of them.
One.
Bit disappointed. You know what else I'm disappointed in?
What?
Colin for mentioning the Bake Olympics. Now, I say this as the chief operating officer. I came up with the fucking concept. I'm the COO.
Okay.
Right, as the COO...
of the Commonwealth Bake Off.
Of the Bake Off Commonwealth Games. I am disappointed that you are going with this rebel competition.
We're not including other countries. Look what happens when you include places like America.
No, we don't want to do that.
No.
Right? This is something between Australia...
Sorry, the USA.
This is something between Australia and Canada and Britain And we're not including New Zealand in that.
No, we are, because to flesh it out, remember? We're using them like the production assistant that has to go home
Oh, yes,
first.
of course we are. They're the first, yeah.
But you know what would be good, though?
We love the bakers, though.
The thing is, we'll actually give the bakers a chance to shine.
Because they'll have 3 challenges.
They can actually do it.
They won't have to worry
have
about
be
mammoths.
included. I think South Africa we can let slide.
Oh, we can let South Africa go 100%. They can't bring the help. Anyway, so Colin talked about the Bake Olympics. And again, I'm sorry, Colin, you are wrong. It's the Commonwealth Games. Get your shit together or we won't select you.
Yeah, otherwise you won't be the queen that will come and open the games.
We had you lined up as part of the opening ceremony. Like, I watched your work with a fan, okay? I watched you tonight open a fan and fan yourself like Scarlett O'Hara. And damn it if that wasn't going to be part of the opening ceremony. So shape up, young man.
With your mum, I'm thinking a float, right? And it's all beautiful white and like covered in diamantes and like a massive like clamshell, and out of it rises your amazing mum, and she's like, I see everyone and love them, and my love is as bright as a shining star. Oh, fucking that made me melt, right? And then you, Colin, you get like parachuted or like, I don't know, like a Lady Gaga kind of entrance into the stadium where the bake
Fanning
himself. Like, and we also...
With polite disagreement,
also coming in on jetpacks, but they're singing like the Miss America or some kind of song for a beauty pageant because he's like, I feel like I'm in a beauty pageant. It's like, let's do it.
I think it has to happen, but the only way...
It's like a massive acid trip, and I think we've made special brownies for it, but
the only way we can do this, Colin, is if you stop mentioning the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right, the Bake Olympics are not...
They're not a thing. Stop trying to... They're like fetch. Don't make them a thing.
They're not a thing. Anyway.
Let them go.
Anyway, so Jodie was making the City of Love. So she had petit four cakes. She had strawberry cream puffs. She had meringue kisses.
She had an Eiffel Tower.
All in the shape of an Eiffel Tower.
Oh, sorry, cookie?
Yes, and a cookie. Then we got the Jodie profile, which was wonderful, where they showed her family. There wasn't enough headlock for my liking. It was all really like heartwarming stuff about the children, and Thrill and Dylan saying how he had the most wonderful baking wife in the world,
and how her eldest daughter wanted to go to France. She's like, "We're going to Disneyland." Oh, it's not France.
Yeah, exactly. We had all those sorts of things. What I really wanted was a bit more headlock. I want a bit more, threats towards other people.
Just a bit more storming into the ring.
We're coming for you.
Challenging you.
We're coming for you.
Tag team action.
I'm taking that title, damn it. I want to be the intergender world champion, and the only way I can do that is
fold up chair over the back of the head.
We'll come to that later because I think that need to make an appearance in the grand final, and I think that Jodie missed a trick. We'll come to that. Okay. Then we got the shoe song. Now the shoe song, of course, not to be confused with the shoop 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 song, but the shoe song is obviously an early release for fans of Polite Disagreement.
Oh, I can't wait for their next album. I mean, Colin's currently in I think it's a musical performance.
Yes.
That's tributes to Prince. And who else is it?
It doesn't matter.
Prince. I just see Prince and I'm like, yes, great. And you're like, yes, Prince.
But literally, Polite Disagreement's next album, which is, I believe, dedicated to baked goods. The shoe song is kind of the number one there. I'm pretty sure they're doing a rendition of Matcha Man. Why wouldn't they? In all honesty, Colin is the one who's keeping the fucking Matcha alive.
Sleep when I'm alive, duck was when I'm dead.
Yeah, duck was when I'm dead, yeah. So Colin made the CN Tower. Milk tea cake at the bottom, matcha cream puffs. I know.
Living on eclair.
You're living on eclair. Whoa, that's going to be great when that happens.
And they're halfway there.
Yeah. And a cookie lookout.
Whoa, living on eclair. Take my shoe and make it, I swear.
You're really proud of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I thought you might be. So a cookie lookout. Now I can only...
Lookout. Yes. Sorry, I stole your stick.
Yeah, you stole my stick. It's my stick.
I started it. When we were watching, I'm like, oh my God, Cookie Monster has to go up there.
Oh, what starts with the letter C? Cookie starts with C. What other things start with C? Surveillance? No, that's an S, but sound like C.
Colin starts with C.
Colin starts with C. Oh, I like Colin a lot. Oh, C is for Colin. It's also a shoe. Doesn't sound like it, but it is.
Anyway, so we got the Colin profile, which is where we found out he's a demon with a fan.
Yes, and his mum is just so adorable.
And then we got Natalia. So now Natalia decided to do a really low-key showstopper. She decided to recreate the statue from Ukraine known as Motherland.
Which is, I've looked it up because I'm like, I want to know about this statue. And I think it was to replace a statue of Lenin and the other dude. Stalin. It's steeped in a lot of controversy.
Yes, she's a very controversial statue.
But I fucking love it.
But Mike, like the work that was needed. Like Jodie went for scale. Jodie went for scale. Colin went for Canadian heartstrings. Natalia went for structure.
Yes.
And like build and architecture and
she's like, I will show you good communist construction.
We got pistachio cream puffs. We got a ginger cookie communist shield, which is quite frankly how all communist shields should be made. We got chocolate prune cake, and not only prune cake, they were drunken prunes.
Oh.
Cognac, it turned out.
Funny that. Good choice.
Boy, didn't Bruno notice it. And macarons, of course, because Natalia believes, much like Fleur did in her season of British Bake Off, Flora in British Bake Off, you need to make extra.
It looked spectacular. I love the silver, the luster dust.
So
I presume it was a luster dust.
So Colin was pricking holes, Natalia making macarons, and Jodie was making cookies, all at the same time. But then we found out that Colin was going back to Kranzakaka.
Oh, yes.
Now, the reason Colin was going back to Kranzakaka was because they paid for those fucking tins. I mean, he wanted to call back to a special bake that he'd done earlier in the pavilion. It had nothing to do with the fact that they'd paid for those tins, and when the hell else are they going to use them?
I mean, I think it was a smart idea to get that shape for the tower. What's the tower called?
CN Tower.
CN Tower. C is for CN Tower. It's good enough to what's the biscuit called? Kranzakaka.
So,
which I presume starts with a K, not a C.
Yes, it's a K. It's a K. Kranzakaka. Anyway, so then we got the arrivals.
Yes! Everyone coming through an arched floral gate.
So we got friend of the show, Jay.
Yes!
Then we got future friends of the show in Mary Lou, Chris and Andrea. We got upcoming friend of the show, Jasmine. That is, by the way, upcoming. Like, we're literally just working out timing.
Yes. Unfortunately, one of us
is a bit busy. Then Jasmine reminded us, of course, that Jodie tempers by feel, which we, needed reminding of because that's insane. And then friend of the world, Liam.
Oh, Liam.
It was talking about, I'd really loved him back in there baking, but, it's very stressful. I don't miss that.
But just seeing him and Kristie, they could see that they're good mates now. Just
well, they were clearly planning the hike.
Yes, they're going.
Chris was like, so I'm taking my portable oven, right?
Yes, and I'm bringing the turkey.
And then Liam's like, I'm carrying a turkey in a backpack, aren't I? As you do. Natalia was then cutting her cake down, and while she was cutting her cake down, Carolyn had very cleverly positioned herself. And Carolyn is just standing there eating and quietly, and then goes, well, you look really busy and stressed, so I should probably walk away from you right now.
And I've gotten what I came for.
I've got it. I'm going home.
Ciao.
Then it becomes structural build time, and Jodie goes, I'm falling apart a bit. And then literally one side of Jodie's Eiffel Tower fell down and smashed.
And it wasn't until this moment that we understood the scale.
It's fucking huge.
Everyone else is looking big.
They were big, but they was manageable big. And then you look at Jodie's, and it's like a person.
She's gone, look, I've just done it to 1/10 of the scale of the actual Eiffel Tower.
I want to be able to climb it. Look, the next thing I'm going to build is an elevator to get to the top of my bake. Look, I can't reach the top.
I just want to have tricked my daughter into thinking we've taken her to Paris.
Exactly. So, I mean, she took the falling apart too literally. That's a problem. Now, what I actually thought, though, I thought we missed a trick here.
What did we miss?
Well, I thought what happened was, if anything, it showed how the Eiffel Tower could actually be improved.
Yes.
Just remove a panel for wind resistance. What makes it go faster? There's one thing I say about the Eiffel Tower.
It needs to be more aerodynamic.
The Eiffel Tower, not aerodynamic enough, it turns out. Remember, it's a temporary structure.
Is it?
It was only supposed to be there for the World's Fair.
But why didn't they take it down?
Because it looked good. And they went, let's just leave it there. Except I can never remember which author it was, but it's one of my favourite stories, and it's still one of my favourite stories to this day. I I can't remember which author. Someone will yell at us on Twitter about it. I know you will. He hated the Eiffel Tower so much that his favourite restaurant was...
The Eiffel Tower
The
restaurant?
restaurant in the Eiffel Tower
then he
on the
didn't have to look at
observation
it.
deck, because it meant he didn't have to see the tower when he had lunch.
It sounds like someone that's a bit of a wanker, like Brecht or something.
Something like that. Anyway, now, at that point, we got to the end of the bakes. They all finished up. Colin turns around to Jodie and goes, "Damn, that's big, girl." And Jodie's like, "It's crazy big. I'm a stupid person." It was insane. The size of what Jodie had attempted was...
Not attempted, achieved, like one panel
done
out
it.
of all of that.
And it was
Christ.
clearly, at this point, it was ultra emotional for everyone.
Oh.
Everyone outside, like,
I was
realising...
crying.
Natalia was like, "This is the last time we all get to bake in there together." Mm-hmm. And it was like, you were crying and they were crying, and then the cats laughed. They're such troopers. And and in the middle of all this emotion, we had a rare Betty sighting, which was just a joyous moment for all concerned.
Yes.
So we had this sort of sad
She's
moment.
such a Betty.
Sad moment, sad moment, sad moment, sad moment. Betty! More sad moments again.
Yeah.
Now, on top of this bake, Jodie had, like, it looked like sugar work on top.
Yeah, sugar expire.
And, of course, if you want to learn how to do sugar work,
Yep.
then if you're looking for a quality magazine focused on cake decorating and sugar art,
Yes.
we know Just the Magazine.
And I've got some lovely people ready to talk about it. Now, it's all about reunions, seeing old faces tonight. Well, welcome. Hello, it's me, Ling Ling the Panda.
Yes, Ling Ling.
And it's me, Grace the Caribou, with the Australian accent.
Grace, have you been learning Australian accent?
I have indeed. To stop myself from going extinct, I've decided to diversify my biodome.
Have you been listening to Kristie as the Queen of Accenting?
Oh, yes, she's the best. See, I can even do a New Zealand accent now. Who knew that from a caribou?
That's going to help the caribou blend in.
fantastic.
Anyway, Ling Ling.
Yes. I need to tell you all that I have successfully escaped and am quite happily, like, just, you know, enjoying my time back in the bamboo forest with my family and creating them all kinds of beautiful, delicious sugar craft. We've made all the things from this year's sugar craft, because you can get 2 full step-by-step tutorials, 2 magazines per year. Hold on. Ling Ling's been into those cognac prunes.
Oh, God, Ling Ling.
Oh!
Ling Ling staggering.
No, okay.
You've never seen a panda stagger, guys?
Grace,
it's amazing.
Grace, can you take over for me?
Grace, hold her up.
All right, let's do this. So Australian Sugarcraft magazine is the magazine for you. It's a full-colour digital magazine with step-by-step tutorials, recipes, tips and ideas. See, she even taught me a bit of French. Subscription is an annual cost of $19.90 AUD and you receive 2 issues per year. So get it now before I go extinct. Go to facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft for more information. Well, thank you. I'm going to go have some more prunes now.
Oh, God, I've got a passed out panda.
Oh, it's the sea I like to sail on. It's a Ling Ling. Come on, Ling Ling, let's go back to the park.
Oh, God, we've got a passed out panda. Oh, shit.
It's all right, I'll take them home.
Oh,
Come on, Ling Ling.
Come on, Grace, can you get the pen? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fucking hell.
Bye.
Fucking... Kristie, can you, like,
What?
next time, can you be around, like, I don't want to have to handle a drunken panda again.
Sorry, I had to go to the toilet, all right? You know, I use these times when I get this special guest in, I'm like, I can now go take a bio break. You know, my bladder waits for no person.
So as a result, I had to sit here and watch a caribou drag a drunken panda out of our house.
And aren't you lucky? Because I didn't get to see that. You know, how many people in their lives get to see a caribou, let alone a caribou dragging out a drunken panda? Who even gets to see a drunken panda these days? Like, come on.
You can mop up the panda vomit. Anyway, so the judging.
It's all right, the cats are eating it now.
They are too. Shit. Anyway, Jodie, they said that she should have taken the other panel off. Bruno's like, look, you should have just removed the other panel. It would have made it symmetrical. And Jodie's like, In 30 seconds, Bruno worked out a way to save it.
Easy. Hindsight is easy.
Now, they said the choux was baked to perfection and delicious. They said the petit fours lacked a glaze and were a bit dry as a result. But they said the cookie looked well baked, and
Tasted good.
Kyla commented that it wasn't only structural, it was delicious.
Yep.
They called Natalia as an architectural art piece, which...
It was. I'm just seeing now because apparently the actual statue is built on some dubious foundations, so possibly they'll just replace it with some baked goods.
100%.
Yeah.
So some prunes soaked in cognac inside the cake, and Bruno was thrilled.
As thrilled as
not as thrilled as
panda.
Ling Ling the panda. Anyway, the choux, however, was underbaked, but the pistachio filling was nice, and they said the macarons were so perfect there wasn't even a slight crack in them.
No.
Colin, they said that the piping felt a bit let down. As Bruno said, we pipe to either hide or decorate, and yours does neither. The cake was interesting. There was lychee in there, and they said the lychee flavour normally doesn't come through, but in this case, the lychee was quite good.
Woo!
They said the matcha was pleasant. I don't believe them for a second. They said the kransekake was also a really good call, and the flavour of the cake was amazing. So then they made them carry them down the hill. Easier for some than others.
I'm looking at Jodie, I'm like, how the fuck you have just spent hours upon hours baking in the pavilion, and now they want you, and you're highly emotional, and you're going down to see your family, and they just want you to transport your massive construction down this hill that's wet. It had been raining the day before. Christ on a broomstick.
I felt really bad for all of them. I didn't want to see Natalia's fall apart.
No.
And I didn't want to see Colin's fall apart.
No.
The CN Tower had a bit of a lean to it, which nobody talked about. And Natalia's is a fucking statue. I mean, it could come down any moment. I mean, Soviet-era statues come down all the time.
Usually with a rope and a mob, but,
Motherland replaced them. Anyway, so they did the judging. They got down there to do the big presentation. Now, before they did the presentation, I did suggest Thrill and Dylan missed a trick. So they're standing there with the obviously the glass cake platter. And they're ready to present the winner.
Yep.
Surely this was a chance for a heel turn. Thrill and Dylan comes out of the pack with a steel chair and just cracks him over the head and runs off with it.
This is for you, babe!
Jodie heel turns. Instead,
the kids jump in too, because it's a family affair.
Instead, Jodie decided to let it play out, and it played out into Natalia. And Natalia is very much a worthy winner of the Great Canadian Bake Off.
Absolutely.
Colin, this isn't a shock. He's like, this isn't a shock at all. He goes,
No.
She's one of the most talented, forget bakers, people I've ever met. They were all genuinely thrilled for each other. They were all genuinely happy. You could see the closeness.
Yeah.
You could see that bond. Colin felt like he was in a beauty pageant.
Here he is.
Miss Canada. Anyway, so we got all that, and then we got a lovely melodic version of the theme to play out.
Which is, it's like, I'm already emotional and crying at doing this. They always do that with the fucking grand finals.
Except Canada, I've got a tip for you.
What?
So Canada, my tip for you is you need to take a leaf out of British and Australians' book.
Oh, tell us what's going on after.
Which is Since the Show.
Yes.
And they do a full recap where they talk about what every one of the bakers is up to.
So let's speculate. Jay, obviously being awesome and getting ready for the Bake Off Pride float.
100%. Look, all he's doing
between now and when World Pride comes to Australia.
Yeah, he's ready for the Bake Off Pride float.
Yeah. Andrea, obviously just hanging around with her mermaid daughters, being all mermaidy.
Shoals, no doubt.
Frolicking with dolphins.
Okay, Betty.
Betty has just been on a tour. She's met up with a couple of other people we might know. Noel, Val.
Listening to their bakes. She's working the Listen to Their Bakes tour.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great little tour. Mm-hmm. Okay, so as the cats had comment to that, I think I mean, look, we sort of know what some people are doing. I mean, Jasmine obviously is becoming a super sleuth, likes which the world has never seen.
Baking
Clearly.
and solving crime.
Chris and Liam are involved in buddy hunting adventures in terms of not so much hunting but wilderness camping and baking in the wilderness.
I'd like to think that they're now doing like a bake grills. Like not Bear Grylls, but baked grills.
Oh, God.
And they're out in the wild and they both bake and grill things.
Mary Lou is...
Bakes versus wild. Sorry, Mary Lou is currently in a time travel romance with the ghost ship that comes into shore.
all of the survivors of the Titanic. There's one that's just sort of caught her eye. I think look, that feels fair. All of those feel fair, actually. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And obviously, we've got Colin, who's preparing for the world tour for Polite Disagreement. That's
absolutely.
That's a lot of choreography going on there.
Opening for Beyonce, I'm sure.
Jodie, obviously, is the current women's champion of the wrestling company that her husband works for. And Natalia, no doubt, has a range of baked statues going into production next year.
Look, she's basically around the world, as we want to be more environmentally friendly and eco-conscious.
Less concrete, more shoe?
More, yeah, we're coming into a world, apparently we're going into a dearth of sand. Australia, surrounded by beaches, apparently we don't have enough sand.
There was a documentary in the 1990s called Australia, A Nation of Sand.
Well, that's apparently not going well, so I'm presuming a lot of countries around the world that want something that's biodegradable is now looking to replace, and because they've got a lot of colonising statues to replace, looking for something more environmentally friendly, yet delicious.
So there you go, Natalia. That's her lot in life. So obviously that is the end of this series. Now, it's not the end of us talking about it.
No.
In fact, I would suggest that that'll probably increase rapidly. We have plans to talk to everyone. So before everyone goes, when are you going to? The answer is probably soon.
Yeah.
At the end of this week, there will be a lot more time to get everything on board.
Someone's doing some additional work.
I'm doing a bit of additional work at the moment, but once that clears at the end of this week, we will have time, we will have scope, and we will have guests. Not might, will have guests. And of course, we are leading up to, at the conclusion of the Great Australian Bake Off this year, we are leading up to what will be an event for the ages. It is the Australian Canadian Virgies. It is a combined Virgie Awards between the Australians and the Canadians.
Yep.
When I was with the British, because fuck that. But the Australians and the Canadians.
We won't get British out in Australia till early next year, I think. Maybe towards the end of this year.
End of this year, probably. But more importantly than all of that, we can't get them to travel for the awards ceremony.
I know. What are we going to do?
They've got managers.
I think we're going to have to, maybe a boat in the middle of the ocean.
I did think about international waters.
It's halfway between Australia and Canada.
International waters.
Yeah.
And I keep saying international waters, Kristie, because you've got to remember what happened last time.
Oh, yes.
Like, legally, we're not really allowed back in Canada for the moment.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, remember? And especially since we will be talking to somebody who works at the Casino Regina.
Yes. I think our lifetime ban
After the unpleasantness, that might be a bit awkward.
Yeah, I have a feeling our names are kind of plastered up in the security
I posed for my
room.
photo.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, mine was a candid shot.
Yeah, I posed.
I just looked like I'd just been...
I posed with Leo.
Tussled to come out of bed, just that fresh kind of...
No, Leo and
I've been in a blizzard in the car park.
Leo and I recreated the front cover of the video for Turner and Hooch. I was Hooch. I was Hooch, he was Turner.
I was too busy in the bathrooms revisiting some delicious seafood.
Revisiting the bucket of clams. Anyway, so there will be a Virgies for the Canadian and Australian Bake Off at the conclusion of Australian Bake Off, which is a few weeks away still, so you've got some time there. We will be talking to a bunch of the Canadian bakers as well. We are really looking forward to that. The next baker we will be talking to, we can say the next baker is, we sort of mentioned it already, the next baker we're talking to is Jasmine.
It is. Hawaii is smack bang in between Australia in Canada. I just Google mapped it.
You start looking at flights. I'll start asking about venues. I've got the venue sorted. Actually, I know where we're going to go.
We're going?
So,
Sweet.
we will be doing the Vergies, probably from Hawaii, apparently.
Or maybe Johnston Atoll. Ooh, that looks promising. That's even more in the middle.
Wonderful. We'll have a look at that and we will let you know the venue. We'll let you know when the tickets go on sale to the Vergies too, because we want you there. We love an audience. So we'll let you know when tickets go on sale for the Vergies, and obviously you can then come aboard and enjoy the Vergie Awards wherever in the world we happen to be doing them. Until next time we see you. I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
The prince and Kanye, come.
I love you, Chris.